Now, I want to show an example of the way that Channel 2 greets a brand new Liberal government versus the way that Channel 2 greets a brand new Labor government. Do you think there might be a slight difference in all of this? Well, let's go back to 2014, the first budget of the Abbott government. Its Treasurer, Joe Hockey, same person asking questions on the same channel to the Treasurer.
Welcome to 7:30, Treasurer.
Great to be here.
And congratulations on your first budget. We need to say that too.
Well, thank you.
Now, you've just delivered that budget. It's a budget with a new tax, with levies, with co-payments. Is it liberating for a politician to decide election promises don't matter?
Well, I don't accept that question.
Let's compare that with the question asked of a new Labor Treasurer who broke his promise on power prices.
Congratulations on your first budget. We start there.
Thanks very much, Sarah.
Now, you've just said just a few moments ago that this budget is about hard decisions for hard times. Where are the hard decisions?
Well, there's $22 billion in savings.
Such scrutiny, such flame-throwing scrutiny. But again, Joe, there's something also fundamental here, and there's plenty of times where every government has to deal with this, right? Which is the people will say one thing on one issue and completely opposite on a different issue. The two don't go together. Like your polling showed many a time. Do I want action on climate change versus am I willing to pay for it?
Yep.
Well, we're paying for it. We're paying for it right now. So at what point does that start to produce a blowback on the artificial line of 2030 and the artificial number of 80-something% renewables?
I'd say a few things. One is, look, I'm not going to get into an argument over the bias at the ABC. Everyone knows they.
No, that's just taken as done.
Everyone knows they swing to the left. But
through
the difference between those two interviews and these two budgets, the two budgets they were about, is precisely what I said before, which is that the first Joe Hockey budget broke election promises, and it broke election promises that frankly did not need to be made, and we all know what they were. It was Tony Abbott on SBS, I think it was, on the very last night before polling day, when he basically promised the earth. He went a bit too far. I like Tony, as you know, but he did not need to say those things.
Sure, but why is it different than power prices?
Because it's not 2025 yet. It is 2022. Okay. You can say it's unrealistic. You can say they're not going to get there.
Yeah.
But to say and frankly, I don't think they should have committed to a specific figure. But they had always said that this would be in 2025, and it is not 2025 yet. And so while you might say, well, they're never going to get there, or I don't buy that. The numbers, you simply cannot accuse them of breaking an election promise. And indeed, Anthony Albanese on this very network today said that he still expected that figure to be reached. Now, you might call that heroic, but they are not backing away from it, and they have not broken that promise. And again, that is just a fact. And as to the question of the energy prices, and again, I don't want to drink the government's Kool-Aid. No one is giving me speaking notes, but
just teasing you.
The reason why power prices are so high is because the price, not of renewables, is going through the roof.
But we're also building a network. That's not free.
The price of coal is going through the roof. Yeah, but it hasn't. No one's lifted a shovel yet. It hasn't actually happened yet.
Not a single renewable project's been built in the past 10 years. This is hundreds of billions we've already spent.
Well, then you're blaming the previous government for it. Which government are you blaming for the high cost of electricity?
No. But what I'm saying
is coal and gas is going through the roof because there's now a global shortage of them because of the war in Ukraine, which means that demand for our coal and gas has gone through the roof, and that is why the budget is, what is it, $50 billion or whatever it is, better off than they thought it was going to be. That is why the price of power is high.
This is where federal responsibility for power prices, well done Malcolm Turnbull for making that a lovely big federal issue, screwed his own and screwed many governments into the future, right? But the reality is that one of the reasons we are where we are is because the state either owned entities or approved entities have blown up those coal and gas projects or aren't building those gas projects. And instead, as the national energy market tells us, we will have gaps in our energy because we haven't built the stuff to replace it.
Even if the states kept every single coal-fired generator in the country going, the price of power would still go up because the price of that coal is higher than ever before because of the war in Ukraine. That is not.
Sure,
that is
but
not
I'm saying, but we can't pretend that the cost of building new stuff isn't part of that. So if the Ukraine war stopped tomorrow,
that's the whole complaint about the previous government is they haven't built anything.
Increase.
That cost doesn't exist. That is off into the future. You can say that will make it go higher up still, and to that people would say, well, yes, there's going to be a higher capital expenditure for infrastructure initially, but it will be built around existing power stations and it will be built around existing infrastructure, and then eventually that will come down. Now, whether that happens or not, or how much that happens, or how quickly it happens, happy to have that.
Amanda, for the record, record, the chair
now.
recognises your sigh. It recognises your sigh. Alas, we're out of time, but it fully recognises your sigh. Thank you very much, guys. Do appreciate it.